desert plains you can see for 1,000,000 miles. There's 1,000 exits between here and the state line. About the last time I saw you, you said, call me Pandora, call me a fool. Thinking this view, it could do you some good. So drop those scales and take a look. There's 40 acres and redemption to be found just along down the way. There is a place where no plowing has turned the ground, and you will turn it over. It's out here hope remains. It's out here hope remains. I get a California sky, well, it's as big as the sea. You're alone in your room like an island just like me. Spirits hanging on a bottle out on a tree. They say you're the black sheep, but I say you're still family. Throw that bottle to the waves. Now bring you into me from the shore. You will see there's 40 acres and redemption to be found just along down the way. There is a place where no cloud blade has turned the ground, and you will turn it over. It's out here hope remains. It's out here hope remains. Out here the desert rain is the hardest I've ever seen. It'll wash your house away, but it can also make you clean. Now these rocks, they are crying too. This whole land is calling out to you. There's 40 acres and redemption to be found just along down the way. There is a place where no plow blade has turned the ground. You will turn it over. It's out here hope remains. It's out here hope remains. Out here hope remains. It's out here hope remains.
Out here, hope remains. That's a good lyric.
Yeah, right?
That's a good lyric. Thank you, Caedmon's Call, for calling with that lyric. Good morning. Welcome to Sojourn Grace. My name is Colby Martin, and I am one of the pastors here. And in just a minute, your other pastor will join us. There she is. Hi, this is Kate. You gotta go all the way around. So glad you are with us here today on what is, many people would say this is the most exciting day of the year.
Oh, brother.
It's Valentine's Eve. Oh! Is that why today's exciting?
You want to know what happened to me? Why I was so late?
Yes.
I accidentally locked myself in the bathroom because I put a bunch of lotion on my hands, and then I couldn't get the door to spin.
Are you serious?
It was so slippery, and I just kept going like this. Like, well, I'm stuck.
That is really, really exciting. I'm grateful that you live such an open life that you share that with us, because I probably would have kept that to myself.
Yeah, you for sure would have.
Welcome to our live stream virtual service here as we continue to be a church that every 7 days opens up our doors, literally and or figuratively, to remind you that you are loved. You are loved by God, that you are loved by us. If no one else, you've got 1, 2, 3 people this morning that say, we love you. We're glad you're here. Our mission here is to foster wholeness. And we do that in 3 ways: spiritual wholeness, social wholeness, and emotional wholeness. And we're going to do that this morning through songs. Thank you, Matthew, for being our
Songstress?
leader, our songstress this morning. And Kate's got a kids corner, another fantastic book to share with us.
And it is the most exciting day of the year because we get to eat chips and dip
All the
day.
chips and all the dips. So it's good to have you with us here on Facebook and YouTube.
Love y'all.
For those of you who have commented this morning, we say hi to you, and Shane and Lisa and Marie and Laura and Shauna and Donna and Melanie and Susan, and I'm sure I'm missing some, and Paul and Camille. So good to have you all with us here this morning. Let's continue our time together.
I've been moving in the wrong direction, getting lost in my constant question. Always thought there was no escape, never really thought about what it would take. Oh, 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 oh. I tried to fill all my empty spaces, late nights with lonely faces. What is happening with my life? Gotta figure it out, but the chain is broken, and I am free again. It was ripped wide open, yes, I am free again. Oh, 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 oh. Now the weight's been lifted, and I am free again, free again. I've been treading into deep, deep water, doing things that I never thought of. Saw the light on the other side, never really thought I'd make it out alive. I keep moving in the right direction, always looking at the hardest question. If I was living in a perfect life, would I have figured it out? Well, the chain is broken, and I am free again. It was ripped wide open.
Time to collectively converse. It's my favorite because we get to hear from all of you and watch y'all talk to each other. And y'all have the funniest stories. Feel my corn. All right.
I forgot about that.
Little
Is that
throwback
Marquise?
Virch inside joke. What?
Was that Marquise?
No, Bill.
Bill said that, yes.
Yeah.
My corn.
Feel my corn. Now we're all going to be saying it forever. We are pulling from the Esther Perel deck today.
So we're getting serious.
Or not. I mean, you never know. It's going to happen.
Oh, no.
Long list.
I miss the days when I could ...
Dot, dot, dot.
Do you have anything at all that you miss from the past?
Does anything come to mind? I wonder.
Yes. Wow. I'm gonna try to avoid the like obvious pandemic.
I know, right?
responses.
There's such a long list for that.
Yeah, there's so many.
My
things.
mind when I heard you say that actually went straight to childhood, but then I couldn't think of anything further than that. But my mind just pictured myself as a child. I miss the days when I could get lost outside and not actually remember what time it was and not care. Like, it's late. Oh well, didn't like that feeling of childhood, just completely lost. Yes, you're out on your bike in the neighborhood, and you have no idea what time it is, and you're like, oh, I missed lunch and dinner. Oh well, like.
And there's no like real life consequences to that. Like there's no work that you have to catch up on. There's no like
none.
Yeah, it's just that is true. Yeah, I miss just being like doing that, but doing it with my siblings. So I just miss the access to my siblings really all the time. What do we have? What do we have here? Wesley, we also miss when you didn't have to wear a mask.
Yeah, love. We miss your face.
The days when my back still worked normally, Steven.
He really loves your hat.
Ooh, I feel that.
Bill says when he could comb his hair.
Same. This is why we wear hats now, Bill, right? This is why we get very fashionable things to distract from the lack of hairs on our head.
Susan says, sit outside and talk to one of my neighbors that passed by. I can't see it. There's a wall facing my front door now. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I could eat whatever I wanted, without thinking of calories.
I'm with you, Jesse.
People are thinking of such stuff. Catch fireflies, Marquis says. Going to the bathroom alone. That is such a mom thing to say, my friend. I see you.
Melanie
my cat always joins me when I go to the bathroom now.
When she could ask her husband to fix the things. Aw, Melanie.
Love you, Melanie. I bet you miss that partnership in that way, particular way.
Catching fireflies, Mark. I had that recurring nightmare that we talked about during collective conversations a couple weeks ago, where I had a recurring nightmare
Matthew's recurring nightmare of giant firefly.
Giant firefly was attacking me.
I can't even picture a giant firefly for some reason.
It's very frightening.
Cole says when he could sleep on his stomach. Yeah, I miss that too. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Reading novels all day. I want to read novels all day.
Yeah, just all day. Just a day of that.
All day. I haven't been reading lately because when I had COVID, I had it all like made my eyes, sinus area so, I don't know, inflamed, so much pain, so much pressure that I was like dizzy and seeing not straight, and to read just hurt.
Yeah.
And it hasn't completely subsided yet to where like I enjoy staring at a page of words.
I can't actually remember the last time I read words on a page. I'm just so into audiobooks now. Like, all the books I've read have been audio, probably for the past 3 years.
Yeah, summer's off and playing video games all summer.
Yeah.
Oh, Camille says living in the same city as sort of besties. It's hard to live in a different place from your besties.
Oh, they're coming up there.
Long
we can just live there.
Besties. Cool. I know. I keep trying to read it down here on the smaller screen, which is weird because I guess it's not weird.
The minute you say that response.
So we do have to like. Gotcha. We're still the leads.
Sorry, we're having a little moment here. There's a lot of screens and things happening, and I'm always trying to figure out where we should be looking. Should we do another question?
Yes, I think so. I don't want to be sad about all the things I miss anymore.
I'm surprised I'm still alive after.
Gosh. I don't even
What are your near-death experiences, my friends?
Exactly. I don't even like to think about it because it like sends my body back into the same kind of panic that I had. But Chris and I broke down on the 8. Not broke down, ran out of gas. Didn't know we were out of gas because the gauge was what was broken, but ran out of gas in traffic. So we were just stopped for a long time on the 8, and then the traffic like picked up and the whatever the obstacle was gone and just started moving at typical 80-mile-an-hour Southern California traffic, and we couldn't go. We were in the middle lane on the 8. I've never been so terrified in my life. We were in the little Scion too. It was like just
Terrifying.
Bitty car, waving our arms out the window, being like, "We're here, please don't hit us." And there were some very close calls.
Yeah, anything car related, traffic related, accident related, terrifying. I often say to Cole, like just reminiscing, I do not know how I survived my teenage years, period. Like, so I'm surprised I'm still alive after being a teenager. I was just one of those completely reckless, thought I was invincible. Not even thought I was invincible, just didn't think at all people. Like, I just lived. It probably had a lot to do with like traumatic situations happening. Like, my reaction to that was just do whatever and be reckless on purpose, like my way of coping or whatever. But when I think about the cars that I got into and the way I rode in cars, like, I don't know how I'm still alive, or the places I went, the fields I woke up in. I don't know why I'm alive right now.
Fields I woke up in? What is
I
this
don't know why
story?
I'm still alive after being a teenager.
That's a plural fields. The fields I woke up in.
Everyone has a
Anybody
field they've
remember the
woken up in. So after 2 years of pandemic, I thought that was a good. Really
Oh, I like that.
We're still
response.
trucking.
I'm surprised I'm still alive after this.
Still going. Mark just says after the 80s, after an entire decade.
After the 80s. Oh, hi, YouTubers.
Lisa, after your pelvis disintegrated 11 years ago, I'm very glad that you.
Oh,
are
is
still with us,
Camille
too.
same Kating my teenage years?
Yes.
Is that what you're responding to, Camille? Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yes, someone feels me. That time the car garage next to the ice cream shop I was in literally exploded. Shane just said,
Wow.
What?
Yikes.
That happened to you? Oh my gosh.
Shauna, after hiking 19.2 miles yesterday, snaps for you, Shauna, because I for sure would not be alive.
Spinning out on black ice in a snowstorm in Michigan. 3 feet snowbank on the side of the road. Ugh, so scary.
Steven, you had to change a tire in the fast lane. Ugh. So horrifying. That's such a scary situation.
Wait, why is Steven talking about black salsa from Crack Taco?
What? I missed that.
I missed this whole conversation and now I have FOMO.
Trying to catch
Well,
up
Amanda
too.
said the invention of flaming hot Cheetos. Still alive after.
She's still alive after that?
Maybe it was connected to that.
Maybe. Oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
love
what
y'all.
it is.
It is?
It's a
Okay.
reply to Flaming
It's
Hot
a
Cheetos.
response to that. Got it.
Oh my word.
Gosh, y'all
Bill
are
Pitts
hilarious.
had to chase a runaway Prius across the New Jersey Parkway. What is with?
Why is the Prius running away from
So
me?
many people have scary car stories. I guess it makes sense. Statistically
It's like the thing we all do every day, almost. Yeah.
And the most deadly thing we all do
Yeah.
on the regular. The guy in the shop was all right? Shane, how? I need to know so much more about this ice cream shop explosion story.
Ice cream.
It's
Yeah, like
terrifying.
I just don't. It must have been a gas leak.
Oh, yeah. Colb had a real bad car experience. T-boned by a tow truck in your little tiny car.
Little tank car.
Didn't they get you out with like the jaws of life? Yeah.
Really?
It was stuck
How
in
old
there.
were you?
17.
Oh, that's scary. Yikes. Cars.
Getting lifts in my friends'
just
cars
stop.
when we were students.
Right? Get to automated cars quickly, please.
Yes, yes.
Self-driving.
All right, y'all. So the moral of the story is we're all glad we're still alive. Okay.
I'm still reading about the black salsa. That sounds horrifying.
Y'all are so funny. Let's do one more real quick because I want to know y'all's responses to this. Everybody's got to know.
At a party, you'll find me. ... You'll find me for about
This
20
will be
minutes,
quick
and then
and
you
easy.
won't. You'll find me for 20 minutes, and then you won't find me anymore because
Can confirm.
I will do the Irish exit and be like, "Ciao," made my appearance, said hello to enough people who will remember I was there.
I love it. At a
I've never been to
party.
a party that Matthew shut down.
Truth.
Except for like a girl boy party. I've shut down a girl boy party before, but
'Cause you had
that's
to.
because I had to. Like
Because
my
you were
name, I'm
responsible
yeah.
for the stuff there.
Yeah.
At a party, you'll find me hosting.
Yep.
Hosting parties is my favorite thing
Yes,
in the
yes,
world.
yes.
And I haven't done that in a long, 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 long time, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
All right.
Although we're going to mini party it up today for the first time in ages.
Yeah,
There'll be like 4 of us, but we're going to party.
we're gonna party with the TV on.
With the TV on.
that I won't be looking
With
at.
2 people paying attention
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. Talking to a small group of people. Donna, Jamie.
Amanda,
yes.
buy the flaming hot Cheetos.
Drinking, hanging out with some friends, and then eventually sitting on the floor with the dogs. That is a good place to wind up at a party, I think.
Lilia's like, you probably won't find me at a party, but if you do, I'll be parked by the snack table or following the pets around. I like it.
Buy the food. Yes. It's just nice to have something to do at a party. So food,
We've got a
food
few
makes it
watchers.
very-
A few people are like watching the people. You know,
Oh, just
I'm the
like
person just standing back watching.
the wallflower, just
the wallflower watching.
If you are a people watcher, parties are a great place for that. We're still talking
Shane
about
says, leaning
Colby's
up
hair.
against the wall, trying to avoid the crowd. Yep. Oh, and Paul says, after a party, you'll find me asleep. Sleeping it off.
I just put it up on the screen, but I like Mikey's. You'll find him next to Stephen until Stephen abandons him to talk to people.
Then holding up the wall. That sounds like
I was gonna say, Mikey,
you.
that's
That
not
is
me.
so Colby. You
Kate, where'd you go? Kate, come back.
my sweet extreme introverts.
I mean, that
just-
is also
it
me
cracks
in my
me up.
relationship because Chris is the
Really?
one who will, yeah.
Ditches you for
Have
the other
fun.
people.
Yeah, we say ditching, but really they're just like living their life and having their experience.
Thank you so much for being the one to defend us. I'm like, aren't we just like doing what we want to do? Oh my gosh, I love y'all. It's been another awkward collective conversation.
This is one of those old hymns that we rewrote for Sojourn Grace. Really for anybody. We just kind of rewrote it to like fit a more modern sensibility and just a more modern understanding of how our brains work and our emotions work and our psyches work. So I love singing this, especially now that I feel like I can do so with some integrity. So let's sing this one together. Be thou my vision, O light of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my life. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. Voice from within me, speak out undeterred. Thou my kind mother, I thy true child. Thou in me dwelling, my heart reconciled. Riches I heed not, nor life's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only first in my heart. Spirit of knowing, my treasure thou art. Spirit of knowing, my victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, oh bright heaven's sun. Heart of my
Corner. Today we are reading Wild by Emily Hughes. I like hearing about the different ways that people interpret this book. There's so many different metaphors and stories and narratives, so I'd love to hear from you today what you got from it. No one remembered how she came to the woods, but all knew that it was right. The whole forest took her as their own. Bird taught her how to speak. Caw, caw, caw. Bear taught her how to eat. Fox taught her how to play. Of course, Fox did. And she understood. And she was happy. One day, she met some new animals in the forest. They found her strange, and she found them strange. They did everything wrong. They spoke wrong. They ate wrong. They played wrong. And she did not understand, and she was not happy. Enough was enough. Wild. Everyone remembered how she left, and all knew it was right. Because you cannot tame something so happily wild. Love you all. That is false. Kolb's out of the room and I hit the next scene button and it did that. It's not what's happening.
What is happening is that I'm tuning very quickly for this next song. As Karen always says, we tune because we care. And we also need guitar picks, and there's one on the floor. I'm going to leave you for one moment. Okay, did they all just see me fall? I think they all just saw me fall.
belongs.
Awesome, it all belongs, falling, having picks on the floor, bad transitions. You leave for 3 minutes, Colby, and it all falls apart.
It all falls apart.
Wandering the road of desperate life, aimlessly beneath the barren sky. Hey, just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. You're so afraid that you will not be found. It won't be long before your sun goes down. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Troubled mind and a doubter's heart. We wonder how we ever got this far. to me. I'll lead you home. Vultures of darkness ate the crumbs you left. Got no way to retrace your steps. Just leave it to me. I'll lead you home. Hear me calling. Hear me calling. If you're lost and alone, just leave it to me. I'll lead you home. So when the lies take root inside your hearts, I will remind you you really are. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. No matter where you are, I am by your side. And any road can lead you back to life. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling. Hear me calling. You're never alone. Just leave it to me. I'll lead you home. Hear me calling. Hear me I'll lead you
I like the musical journey you took us on today, Matthew.
Thank you.
Some Caedmon's Call, some Michael W. Smith, some rebranded Be Thou My Vision.
This is what happens when it's just me. It's just all the 90s stuff.
No, I love it. I love it. Whether it's 1990s or 1890s.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I got a hot take to start us off today, and it's this. I don't think we should judge people. I know, hot take. Come on now. I mean, this is some deeply enlightened spiritual stuff we're talking about here. I don't think we should judge people. This is my opinion. This is where I start from. But I still do it sometimes, and I'm guessing you do too. And maybe on some level you're fine with it, or maybe you're okay with it. Some people see less of a downside to judging others. But I tend to lean toward like the Mother Teresa side of things, which is when you judge people, you have less capacity to love them. So I think that we shouldn't judge people. Modern psychology shows that the more that we judge others, the more we kind of train our brains to notice the bad. And then inevitably, if we judge others, it will then eventually turn and sort of eat itself as we begin to be more judgmental and critical of ourselves as well. So I don't think we should judge people. Or at the very least, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor to move in a direction of judging people less. But here's the thing. This is what I want to talk about here today, is in this pandemically altered version of reality that we're living in, we're actually more likely to judge other people. Let me say that again. In this pandemically altered version of reality that we're living in, we're actually more likely to judge others. To explain what I mean, I'm going to talk about three things. First, I'm going to talk about our working memory. Then I'm going to talk about cognitive load. Then I'm going to talk about the fundamental attribution error. It sounds like a lot, but I promise it'll be relatively short and quick and easy. So first, the term working memory. Working memory is a way to talk about the tiny pea-sized part of our brain that is responsible for processing live in the moment occurring right now data. You are bombarded every moment of the day by way more information than your brain can process. And so you have a part of your brain, and we call this the working memory, who's responsible to just sort of focus on a few things. And neuroscientists suggest to us that we can really handle about 4 things at any given moment. Some people a little bit more, like 6 or 7, some people less, but about 4 things. And then really your brain only holds on to that for 10 to 20 seconds. And then your brain has to figure out what to do with it. Do we take this thing that we just sort of engaged with, interacted, heard, listened, whatever, and do we immediately just sort of cast it aside, toss it in the rubbish bin, like forget it? Or do we want to hold on to this data, this piece of information? And if we want to hold on to it, then the brain has to make another calculation. Do we have an existing category in our brain? They call these schemas. Do we have an existing category in our brain that this thing fits in? If so, great, we'll file it on that. If it doesn't, then the brain's got to figure out, okay, what's another category that we can create? And what category is it like? And all this is happening all the time throughout the day. This is your working memory. Ideally, our working memory is functional. Ideally, we have a lot of working memory, like maximum capacity. We're able to do all the processing throughout the day. Some people naturally might, like I said, have greater working memory, some a little less, but ideally we all want to be able to have the capacity to process what's going on around us and figure out what to do with it. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? And even more so in these past 2 years, we are experiencing factors that have significantly impacted our capacity to have a functioning working memory, and that leads me to cognitive load. So cognitive load then describes the resources that we have available to us for our working memory. It's like cognitive load is the weight or the pressure that is put upon that pea-sized part of your brain that's trying to process all the information in real time. So when you're under heavy cognitive load, you have a greatly reduced capacity for working memory. So sometimes cognitive load is increased from internal factors. So things that are internally cognitive load heavy are things that are inherently complicated. Working out a difficult math problem, for instance, is going to have a heavy cognitive load because it's complicated. Processing heavy emotions is internally cognitively heavy. Trying to figure out the 6th guess in Wordle for some people is cognitive load. And people like my wife probably rolling their eyes that I would dare drop a Wordle reference in a message when I don't even play Wordle. But I understand that for some people, Wordle is complicated and challenging. So that's internal factors for cognitive load. But then there's also external factors. And external factors can increase our cognitive load from being variables on the outside that make it hard to concentrate, hard to think, hard to remember. And this is where the pandemically altered version of reality that we're currently experiencing comes in, because we are, right now, most if not all of us, experiencing vastly higher levels of cognitive load than we're accustomed to. So here's just a couple examples of external factors that increase our cognitive load, which then reduce our working memory. Things like routines. Routines are highly effective at lightening our cognitive load. Because when you can offload tasks and schedules to a routine, your brain is needing less resources to think about the thing. But in these past 2 years, how many of your routines have been completely jacked up? And so now you have your brain that is having to think intentionally, having to think like consciously, to have to do sometimes menial basic tasks that normally would be offloaded to routine. Now you're having to use more brain processing power, and it's increasing your cognitive load. Another factor is like stress and anxiety and other emotions like this. Stress and anxiety really increase the cognitive load by quite a few factors. And how many of us in these past 2 years, again, have been carrying different kinds of stress and anxiety around how our physical health is doing, around our financial situation, job insecurity, strife within our families, as many people have been trying to figure out already how to navigate their families in a tense environment, oftentimes politically motivated, and now it has been increased even more so these past 2 years with this pandemic. And so we're so much stress and anxiety, relational conflict, as people, especially early on in the pandemic, were sort of either hunkered down with people that caused extra stress, or were isolated and lonely, and so that's a second factor that increases our cognitive load. Another factor that increases cognitive load is our physical health. And so many people during the pandemic have experienced lesser degrees of physical health than they might have normally been. Maybe they're sleeping less. Maybe they're getting less exercise and movement. Maybe they're eating more sugars, drinking more alcohols, and smoking more weeds, and it's impacting their physical health. That increases our cognitive load when we're physically not as well. And then the fourth factor I wanted to point out in this pandemically altered version of reality is disruptions. Disruptions have a huge impact on our cognitive load. When you're just going through a day and then something from seemingly nowhere disrupts that, now the cognitive load increases and your working memory reduces. And the disruptions that we've been facing these last 2 years are myriad, as some kid in your child's class tests positive, and that now shuffles this whole scheduling thing, or someone in your own family tests positive, and now you're trying to figure out who isolates, who quarantines, how did we do this part of the world? You might have lost a job, or you might have been looking for a job, and all these disruptions to your life increase your cognitive load. So you have lack of routines, you have stress and anxiety, you have physical, less healthy physically, you have disruptions. All of these increase cognitive load, which then reduce our working memory. We end up forgetting things more easily. We lose our patience quicker. We end up being really aggravated by things that might otherwise we could just kind of brush off and move on because it's really not a big deal. We react harshly instead of like responding thoughtfully. We struggle to solve fairly simple problems. Coming up with solutions can feel real challenging. Processing basic information becomes a struggle. All of this is because we have reduced working memory because of increased cognitive load. So what I'm saying is if you felt these past 2 years like your brain isn't working very well, that makes sense. If you feel a bit like you're a walking, talking ShamWow that's already oversaturated with dirty water, and yet you're expected to constantly be cleaning up puddles, like I don't know how much more, I can't clean up more, but I can't even process the dirty water that I'm soaked in right now. Makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, so what does all this have to do with judging? Well, that has to do with the third part, which is the fundamental attribution error. And here's the fundamental attribution error. It can describe like this. We are, as humans, prone to over-attribute another person's behavior or actions to their personality or their character, while simultaneously over-attributing, when we do that behavior, to things like situational context. That makes sense? So someone else does a thing, and we are quick to say, oh, they did that thing because of their character or their personality. But when we do that thing, we're like, well, that's because of the context. There's an explanation here for that. This is the fundamental attribution error. I judge you for your character, but I sort of assess myself based on the context. this week. So some of you have noticed the Be Kind puzzle that we've been talking about the last few weeks that David and Lisa Johnson bought 25 of for the Sojourn community. And so a number of you have requested them. They're free. We'll send them to you. And I went to the post office this week to ship off a big pile of them. And so I get the boxes in my hands and I park at the post office in Santee and I go to walk into the doors and the sliding doors open. And that's when I noticed the giant signs, masks required for everyone. Now I've hit that. I've noticed lately in my life that I sometimes forget the mask. I don't know what it is. Like, is it because I'm vaccinated, because I recently had COVID, because we're just all in this fatigue, whatever it is, I sometimes just now, the cognitive load. Yes. Thank you, Kate. I just forget the mask. And so I'm like, okay, if this were a quick trip in occasionally in the past couple of weeks, like if it's a quick, just run in and grab something, I'll just run in and grab the thing. But I'm like, I have boxes now of puzzles. I'm going to be in the post office for a while. Okay, I need to get my mask. So I go back to my car, fumble through, find a dirty, the dirty old mask at the bottom of the pile of things that you're like, oh crap, this will have to work for now. And you kind of shake it off and blow it off. And you're like, well, here it goes. And I get my mask on. I work my way back into the post office. I set up my little station of beginning to like put boxes together and write addresses out. And I'm there for probably 7 minutes at this point. And it's a pretty happening post office. Lots of people are there. Everybody wearing masks. And then I see out of the corner of my eye somebody enter into the post office with no mask on. And do you know what my immediate instinct thought was? Do you like? Yes. Yes. It was, what a jerk. What an uncaring, science-denying, Trump-supporting, indifferent toward the suffering of others jerk for just walking in without him. Like, I kid you not, it happened so fast. Now, fortunately, I caught it pretty quickly in my own being. So within a beat or two, I was like, oh, good gravy, where did that come from? Like, that was literally about to be you 7 minutes ago and has been you a couple times in the past few weeks as you've run in to do a thing. And I am not a anti-mask, science-denying, Trump-voting jerk who doesn't care about others. That's not me. This is the fundamental attribution error. We judge other people based on their actions for their personality and character, over-attribute it to those things, but then when it's us, I was like, oh, this is a one-off, or I have a reason, or there was some excuse for this. And so I worked myself through that, got back to my boxes, and not 120 seconds later, a woman walks in without a mask, and instantly the thought came back. Like, it was so fast. Like, oh, I did it again. I immediately thought of that woman, and I judged her. This is how the fundamental attribution error works. When I run into Starbucks without my mask on, it's because I'm just doing something really quick and I'm vaccinated and it's fine. And it'll be I just forgot it. It's all the things. Like, when you do it, I judge you. You're a don't tread on me kind of person. You're a nobody's going to tell me what to do kind of person. So anyway, let's bring all this together. Here's the big idea. Here's the thing that I want you to remember this morning is that we commit the fundamental attribution error far more frequently when we are under heavy cognitive load. We are more prone to commit the fundamental attribution error when our working memory is significantly reduced because our cognitive load is significantly increased. It happens far more frequently. You and I are much more likely to be judgy McJudgertons when we are experiencing heavy cognitive load. And this pandemic, in other words, has made us more prone to judge people. It has. I mean, I've noticed it in myself, and then sort of doing the research and the studying, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's happening for me. And I can only imagine, since I have a human brain and y'all have human brains, that it might be happening to you as well. Now, we're going through life, whether it's people in person or people on the interwebs or people in our family systems, and we are far quicker to make judgments. We are far quicker We're far quicker to reduce to stereotypes, by the way. This is one of the shortcuts that the brain makes, stereotypes. So when I see a person with no mask, I have a stereotype that I have built up and has been built up for me. And because I don't have all my available working memory, the brain grabs whatever it can grab as quick as it can to process the information. And stereotypes are very often the things that our brains grab when we're under heavy cognitive load. I don't want to think through nuance. I don't want to think through context. I don't want to think through why you probably are a wonderful human being, and yet here I am judging you because of heavy cognitive load. So here's the two things I think we can do about it, and this is how I'll wrap up here. Number one, it's pretty.
Can I just tell you that Donna said, "Quick, what's the solution? I'm feeling very guilty right now."
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Here's two things I think you can do about it. Number one is to begin to notice it. Okay. So you've now been given some information that hopefully can be helpful for you to begin to notice this. So notice when the judgments happen. Notice when you resort to stereotypes people, or when you make just quick snapshots. Just notice it. Whoa, I judged that person on very little information very quickly. Notice it, and then the second, that's 1A. 1B is cast significant skepticism upon your own judgment. Notice it and then question it. Wow, I made that really snap decision, and now I know that I am not in a position currently in this pandemically altered version of reality. I'm not really well adapted to make good judgments of people right now. I'm not. You're already probably not like Iago. You're probably already not very good judges of character, period. Like, it's just a hard thing to do without knowing so much of the context. And it is right now even more so. So notice it and then question it. Wow, I got there real fast. I got real judgy, and I'm probably wrong about this. Very likely this is an incorrect judgment. You can't, Donna and others, you can't eliminate your instinct to judge. Maybe you can, like with decades of spiritual practice, maybe we can get to a point where we just don't have that. But likely you're going to have that natural instinct to judge. That part is natural and normal. And especially the stereotypes, some of those go so deep. But what we can do is reduce the amount of time between when we make the snap judgment to when we then sort of walk ourselves through it and release it. That's what we can begin to reduce. So you notice it. Wow, that was a quick judgment. You question it and doubt it, and then you can begin to release it. And what we can do is reduce that amount. And that reduction in time, that's huge. The difference between holding a judgment about a person for 10 minutes to 5 minutes, and 5 minutes to 1 minute, and 1 minute to 30 seconds, you can see now how that makes a significant impact. I was thinking about this week, and Jesus had this teaching where he said that we shouldn't judge other people unless we're ready and willing to get judged in return. And then he said, how is it that you can say to someone, here, let me get that splinter out of your eye. Meanwhile, you've got this giant log in your eye. Jesus says you're deceiving yourself if you think that that's a thing you can do. And then he said, first, take the log out of your own eye. Take it out of your own eye, and then you can work on that person's splinter. But can I tell you something? Here's what I've noticed. When I do the work to get the log out of my own eye, and I think this noticing of judgments and questioning of it is a big part of that work. When I notice that, oh man, I have been the run into the store really quick without a mask guy. That is a giant ass log that is sitting in my eye. That, like, when I do the work to notice that and get that log out of my eye, do you know what I often find? I don't even see the splinter anymore. Almost as if the splinter that I thought I saw was just a projection of this giant log. So then the second thing that you can do, how I think we can be more mindful about this extra judgmental sense about us that we have in this pandemically altered version of reality. Since we know that pandemic life is so disruptive, since we know that it has all these external factors that it is throwing at us to increase our cognitive load, maybe we can do just a couple things to be mindful about releasing some of that cognitive load. Maybe we can be counteractive to it. Be proactive to be counteract. Yeah, I think I'm saying the right thing. So maybe I mentioned routines earlier. Can you begin to reintroduce some routines and start small? Try to see if you can find a new routine for something. And that has a way of, again, freeing up some of that working memory, reducing some of that cognitive load, and then you'll find that you're less prone to judge. Can you give yourself a chunk of time where disruptions can't reach you, even if they tried? Give yourself the gift of being undisruptible. Put your phone away for a while. Put it in the other room. I know that because our working memory is reduced, that reading is extra hard right now. So be like, hey, I read 3 pages today. Maybe I can do 4 tomorrow. But I got to be undisruptible or irredisruptible. Abdisruptible? I don't know. I don't know what the word is there. Can you turn off the TV and play a card game? Can you turn off the TV and put a puzzle together? Be kind. Can you go outside for a walk or a hike? Can you get some exercise? Can you drink some water? Since you know that there are things that are giving you heavy cognitive load right now can you do things that begin to lighten that load a little bit? There's a lot of things you can't control right now. A ton of things you cannot control right now. And it is doing a heavy number on your cognitive load. But we are also not entirely helpless. We're not. There are things that we can do to try to counter some of this. We can free up some of our working memory so that we're not so reactionary, we're not so judgy with ourselves or with others. I'll end with this quote from Henry Nouwen, who once wrote, "Often I have asked myself, what would I be like if I no longer had the desire to judge other people? I would walk the earth as a very light person indeed." So may we, friends, become lighter and lighter walkers of the earth. I've invited Matthew to, I've asked if Matthew would sing this song after this message here, because I think it has a beautiful way of reminding us that when we look into the face of the people that we might be so prone to judge, we end up seeing a mirror that reflects back to us that they are me and we are we, and we are not so different after all.
When I look into the face of my enemy, I see my brother, I see my brother. When I look into the face of my enemy, I see my sister, I see my sister. Sibling, I see my sibling. When I look into the face of my enemy, I see my family, I see my family. Forgiveness is the garment of our courage, the power to make the peace we long to know. Open up our eyes,
Back for communion.
Let's take communion. What do you got
things.
this morning?
One, that was a beautiful, perfect message. Two, everybody loves how practical that is. That there's things we can actually do instead of just like big thought and then what do we do with that? You know.
Be less crappy.
Okay, I'll get right on that.
Bye-bye.
You know? And then I laughed really hard because when you shared the grabbing a dirty mask from the bottom of a dirty bag, Susan was like, that's a little like Kate's bathroom confession.
Maybe I am more vulnerable and transparent than I think. As long as it's controlled and I wrote it ahead of time in my notes.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that was funny. Yeah, and I also was freaking out about the use of Jesus quotes in that my thinking lately has been when I judge others, just that very simple practice of like remembering all of my behaviors that aren't so great, all of the stories and reasons that it's usually because I'm walking around barely surviving, have the worst week of my entire life, and people have no idea the kinds of situations I'm facing and looking at, and that I'm fumbling and barely making it, and then assume that others are doing just fine, but acting like jerks. And so I've been trying to like just bring myself into it constantly. Like that's been my practical way. So when you said that about Jesus said like, unless you are ready to be judged, I'm like, well, shit, yeah, that's perfect, because that's the whole thing is I'm basically walking around desperate for people to like, please know that I'm just a mess right now. Don't judge me for this. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so I had a real moment around that. That was good.
Did it come to Jesus moment?
We have my favorite kind of donut.
What kind is that, baby?
Grocery store donuts.
Just straight out of the
Favorite.
package.
Straight out of the plastic bag. It's my favorite kind. What do
In
you all
some ways,
have?
you and I are two very different people.
Most of the ways. And we have coffee. So what all do y'all have? Kate, what does your shirt say? Oh, thank you for asking. It says she is holding back the lightning. It is from a Ben and Karen song, a story and tune song. It is a song that Karen wrote on our deck at our old house when I was holding our friend Anissa's baby Mercy, who was tiny at that
Because she
point.
used to be a baby.
And Karen wrote the lyrics. She is holding on to Mercy and she is never letting go, which was a fun play on words because I was literally holding baby Mercy. And then the song went from there and it turned into a song that started about me and baby Mercy and turned into a song about the Statue of Liberty. And one of the lines is she's holding back the lightning. And it's my favorite shirt, mostly because of how long and baggy it is. See, where's the end of it? You can't even find the end of it because it's so long and baggy. My favorite kind.
I've often said you remind me of the Statue of Liberty.
Anyway, what all do you guys have? Starbucks latte and hard-boiled eggs. Vienna finger cookie and water. Mind over matter latte. What's that?
Mind over matter latte.
What is that? I don't know what that is. Is that a thing?
I had my food earlier. Yeah, that happens sometimes, doesn't it? A little pre-communion
Orange
snacking.
lavender mochi mooncakes. Oh my gosh.
Ice and water, Bill Pitts says. Homemade orange lavender. Oh, that's the one you just said. I tried to put up a different one, and Ecamm just decided that that's what was going to go up. Ice and water.
Dry cinnamon toast crunch cereal. Blueberry muffin and oat milk latte. That your daughter made you. Yay. That's fun, Aaron.
That's cool.
Wheat thins. I love
I've
wheat
recently been
thins.
discovering that oat milk isn't half bad. Kind of like it.
Yeah, you do like oat milk.
All right.
Fried rice and rye bourbon.
All right. You win.
I want that for communion.
You win.
I want that right now. Sounds amazing.
All right. Take what you have. If it's fried rice or if it's ice or if it's mochi. In our case, it'll be store-bought chocolate donut.
Store donut.
And take and remember that we are all part of the same beloved family. A piece of frosting.
It's something from Apothecary. Wow.
A pop-up Gary? What is a pop-up Gary? What did you say? Because I don't think
I'm
it
just
was.
going to let that be because it's really funny. Everybody else can see the comments. Apothecary.
Oh,
A pop-up Gary.
apothecary. Reminded me of the wavy things outside of like car washes and oil changes that Matthew has confessed in the past give him great anxiety.
And our nephew has like a
Gary's.
little mini one, like a pretend, like a toy one. And we were like, oh, don't take that around Matthew.
The Willy Men.
The Willy Men.
Willy Men.
Well, I just pop-up Gary is what I've now dubbed it accidentally. So take what you have for your cup. And as you take it, maybe you can just speak a blessing over yourself that you are a beloved child of God. You are a beloved child of God. Just speak that over yourself as, well, I was going to say as you drink it, but you can't speak while you drink. You can do it in your mind.
You can in your head.
Or right before, like
That's why
this.
it's great to talk to
I am a
yourself.
beloved child of God.
That's why. That's why it's great
That's
to
the
talk
reason
to
you
yourself
stumbled
so
upon
that
it.
you can drink while you do it.
We have figured out.
You guys, I don't know what life is. Is Matthew doing another song or are we done?
No, we're going to house notes. A couple things.
What do we have?
A couple
for
things to
house
share.
notes?
One of them is if you would like to support Sojourn Grace through financial contributions, we would invite you to do that and encourage you to go to sojourngrace.com/donate or Venmo at Sojourn Grace and be a part of this global, at this point, this global ministry to
Pretty cool.
remind people that they are beloved children of God and empower people to find wholeness in their life. All the good things that we do. We invite you to participate with us in that. Another thing is that we almost have all the small groups compiled. So we're just a week or two away from opening up the invites for that. I'm going to lead a virtual group that's going to work through Rob Bell's What is the Bible? So we're going to take
A very Colby, very geeky book club. It's going to be fun.
let's talk
I'm excited
about
for
the
you guys.
B-I-B-L-E.
I'm excited for all of you who actually want to talk about the Bible. There
Yeah.
are many of you out there.
Yeah.
And I clearly
Come
love
on.
people like that.
Yes.
Very much.
All right, so that's going to be a
and
virtual
then,
group. You're going to do a...
I myself am doing an in-person group in my backyard or in my home. We can be wherever we want in my house, I guess.
Just not the garage, because that's where I'll be.
Just not the garage because that's where Colby will be on his virtual group. And I already have 6 people in my group because we're doing a carryover from my last small group, and then we're opening it up to new folks. And my group will be an ongoing, like, for the foreseeable future, just keep meeting together, build community, and that is our entire goal. We're not going through a book. We are going to do some liturgy and some meditation and some that kind of stuff, some grounding exercises together, sit around the fire. Why couldn't I think of the word fire? That was weird. Anyway, I blame COVID. That's it.
We
That's all we're
do
doing.
not have that crypto wallet for donation. We don't have that.
Mm.
Thank you for asking, though.
We have Venmo.
And then
What else we got?
Susan is going to lead a
Susan's doing
group
another virtual
through
group, so that'll be
Karen's
fantastic.
recent
It's not focusing because I
book.
need to hide my eyes.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
She Will Be With Me. So this is the gorgeous book that our own Karen Gilmore recently published. And it is a love letter to my body. And it is a series of journals and prompts and, well, that's just like white pages, but there's actually things inside there. So Susan's going to lead a virtual group through that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got an in-person group meeting in like the Mission Valley area. We've got an in-person group meeting in like South San
Mission Valley,
Diego,
that's
Chula
perfect.
Vista
That's
area.
really
Yeah.
central.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a South one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yay,
Yep.
South San Diego. Okay.
We've got Vicky and Alyssa are going to lead an online weekly group to kind of discuss the content that came up
Love that.
on Sunday mornings.
Whatever was viewed on Sundays, they'll chew it up together, decide that it was the worst sermon ever or that they totally agreed. That's what they're going to do. They're going to vote.
Sometimes those coincide.
Was it one of those?
It's the worst one ever, but
just
I
kidding.
agree. Okay.
Anyway,
And then the last note for the house is if you would like a Be Kind puzzle, we do have a few more of those. So some of you have been messaging me your name and address, and I'll ship those off to you.
do we need any more leaders? Like if someone missed the call for leaders and still wants to lead a group, are we still open to that, asking for that? Are we good?
Potentially, we'll see what the demand, like how many groups we need at this point. So I don't know how many people are ready to be a part of groups.
Okay. We'll talk about that later. I think yes. Email us if you still want to lead a group. Because we find that out when we ask people to sign up for them. So yes, absolutely. If you still want to host a group, let us know. Should have asked you because I have my own answer to that question. Yes, email me. Colby, can we? No, we are. Yes, email me.
Right arm.
See, there's Nora. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Totally different and perfect spot of San Diego. Okay, anyway.
Oh yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about the
Colby
house
loves
noting
my
is
unprofessionalism on the live stream.
I do. We got to have balance.
Last
if
thing you
everyone was like
wanna say,
me, that would be really bad. Is that we're gonna remain virtual for still the time being. I think our most recent announcement was just up through February 13th, which is today. But we are going to.
Are we updating that?
We're
Going through.
We're going to continue for now. We didn't get a chance to have our board meeting this month. It got moved, so we don't have an official update. But we do know that we'll continue to be here, at least for the time being. So.
Yep.
So set
It
your
is
alarms.
safer and more
to
inclusive.
9:57 a.m.
We can involve
Pacific.
more people when we do it this way. So
Yeah.
we'll keep doing that for.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Love y'all.
Let's do benediction. You want to join us? Sure. Yeah. Okay. So this is the benediction. This is what we say at the end of. What happens if I hit this button? Does it go on the screen?
That was a weird
Yeah.
face.
I forgot I used to have this. Forgot. And then we've been allowing y'all to lead us. Was that weird? Allowing?
This is why we need the balance.
You're
allowed
permitted.
to.
Okay.
We
Okay.
invite you to. We like it when you.
Okay.
lead the
We
benediction.
tolerate you.
Okay. Sufficiently mocked.
keep
I am
roasting
sufficiently mocked. All right. Jesse says.
People have moved on.
Well, Jesse says this. Because you're a child of God. Good job, Matthew. I don't know where Kate was.
It's in my head.
And then Bridget says this. Because so is everyone else. We love y'all. Have a good Valentine's Eve.